Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining me here for Conversations with Taz, specifically for Think About It Thursday. If you missed the midday catch up, make sure you check that out after you watch this or before you want to know, because it's just going to be a continuation because we've had a lot of breaking news. Now, the biggest story out there, we discussed it a little bit this afternoon, is the document leak case. Honey, baby, boo-boo, darling. Yeah, I had to bring out the handy-dandy clipboard for this one. So, the 21-year-old man behind the document leaks had a Discord server where the members were bonding over guns and racism, basically. Now, the chat started between him and a bunch of teens, which is disturbing all in itself. And it started off with about 20 to 30 people. The arrest was made this afternoon. He is a Air National Guardsman in cyber intelligence out of Massachusetts. His name is Jack, and I did finally get a proper pronunciation, Teixeira. He was arrested without incident and will be arraigned in Massachusetts federal court. The investigation is still ongoing, and he was arrested at a residence in North Dighton, I hope that's correct, Massachusetts. Documents first surfaced on Discord months ago. According to authorities, the leak is considered a deliberate criminal act. Teixeira does come from a military family, and it said that he joined the Guard approximately 3.5 years ago. His official job with the National Guard is Cyber Transport System, which requires 7.5 weeks of basic training, 136 days of technical training. His first court date will be tomorrow. He was an airman first class, and his duties were to take care of the IT for the base that he was assigned to. It's also been said that videos were made aware to investigators of him utilizing racial and anti-Semitic slurs, and he displayed some anti-government views. Baby. And it seems like the whole reason he did all of this was clout. So, as we discussed briefly this afternoon, it started off in one Discord server. Then that information was taken to another Discord server. Then that information was taken over to a server that focused on Minecraft. And then there were some things that were changed a little bit to make it seem like Russia was really sticking it to Ukraine in the war. And then it started making its way to 4chan, to Twitter, to Facebook. And what made it to those are the photocopies of the documents that had been altered to make things look better. So he fucked around and is about to find out, all because he wanted online clout. He wanted online clout. Yes. Hold on. Puppers decided to lay red across my lap. His crime is espionage. It goes against the Espionage Act. And because, like I said, approximately 3.5 years, and he comes from a military family, he knew exactly what he was doing. He was utilizing his position, and he was also putting into the Discord server, into the chats, information that he had overheard as well. How accurately he was relaying that information, I don't know. As I said, the investigation is still ongoing. And they said it's not unusual for 20-somethings to be put in IT positions. I guess. What a mess. Yeah. Yeah. He, what was it? What did they say? Hold on. Yeah, Airman First Class. Now, before we get into some other breaking news of today, I do want to give y'all some information because I know we talk about inflation a lot, but there's another reason why certain foods are costing more at the grocery store. But I'm going to let a farmer let you in on a dirty little secret from behind the scenes.
The seed companies are holding farmers hostage. And another reason why your food's more expensive. So here's a deep, dark secret they really don't want you to know. So the seed companies that sell the seeds for all the food that you eat own the rights to all the seed genetics. Meaning that when a farmer buys it, they own the right to plant that seed, but they don't own the rights to the seed. So yesterday I got delivery of all this, but when the company showed up to deliver it, I literally had to sign a waiver that said they had the right to come on my property and go in my field whenever they want and check up on their plants. And if the farmer's caught stealing, yeah, they just sue you up the wazoo and the farmer goes out of business. Why do they do this? They claim they have to protect the genetics because without them, I guess the world would just starve. They even created hybrid corn, meaning you can't just take the kernels of corn and replant them the next year. They won't grow. So conveniently, you're stuck buying their seed every year. Oh, and why is this crazy? Well, for me to plant 300 acres of corn, this little bit right here cost me over $32,000.
Yeah. Yeah. This is why we need a little bit more regulation and things. Now, Trump, where are those notes at? Trump was back in New York today. Now, I told y'all when we finally found out that there was an indictment coming through, I gave y'all his schedule for impending court dates. But he was back in New York today. No, there wasn't all the pomp and circumstance because he really couldn't, crowdsource off of this. But remember, New York Attorney General Letitia James is looking into him and the Trump organization and his eldest children regarding business fraud. So from approximately 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., give or take 7 hours, with one break for lunch, Trump was answering questions. Yes, you heard me right. He did not plead the fifth. Now, this is a whole new strategy for him because the last time he had to answer questions for the New York AG, he just kept pleading the fifth over and over and over again. Now, it is speculated by legal experts that he did this because in a case of this magnitude, not answering questions, that can be held against him. Remember, this is a business fraud case. The case could cost him the ability to do business within New York State, and he also does not want to lose out on that at all. Because remember, that's where he originally made it big. But that's not all of the Trump news that we have for today. Remember, Trump and Tucker, their lovely Tuesday night that they spent together. We went over some of the most notable moments from that interview between the frenemies, because we still remember what Tucker said in those text messages from the Fox v. Dominion case. And we'll get into the the Dominion v. Fox case, rather, here in a little bit. But let's just say we have a breakdown on some of the most critical lies that Trump told.
Well, the breaking legal news of the day. is Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg taking legal action against the Republican chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan, by suing Jim Jordan in federal court for a, quote, unprecedentedly brazen and unconstitutional attack. That's what he called it, on District Attorney Bragg and his investigation of Donald Trump. Also today, Donald Trump did his first television interview since becoming a criminal defendant. We will show you a portion of that interview with Tucker Carlson in a moment, a small portion. But first, this reminder: Tucker Carlson hates Donald Trump passionately, and he put it in writing. And Donald Trump knows that. On January 4th, 2021, 2 days before Donald Trump sent a violent mob to attack the Capitol, Tucker Carlson texted a co-worker saying, "We are very, very close to being able to avoid Trump most nights. I hate him passionately." Tucker Carlson lives in fear of his television audience, and his audience loves Donald Trump. So Tucker Carlson has been doing everything he possibly can since that text became public a few weeks ago in the Dominion Voting Systems lawsuit against Fox to convince his viewers that he really, really does love Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump knows that Tucker Carlson hates him passionately because Donald Trump read that text. But Donald Trump wants access to Tucker Carlson's audience. And so, two deeply hateful men, filled with hatred, faced each other today in an interview in which they were both desperately trying to stay in favor with Tucker Carlson's audience. Here then is 30 seconds, and only 30 seconds, of Donald Trump lying about what happened when he was arrested and arraigned last week in Manhattan.
Last week you were in New York for this arraignment. The world watched it. You've not given an interview since. You were there, I think, 57 minutes. Tell us from your perspective what that was like.
They were incredible. When I went to the courthouse, which is also a prison in a sense, they signed me in. And I'll tell you, people were crying. People that work there, professionally work there, that have no problems putting in murderers, and they see everybody. It's tough, tough place. And they were crying. They were actually crying. They said, "I'm sorry."
The only person in the courthouse who looked close to tears that day was Donald Trump. And even the emotionally unstable Donald Trump managed to only cry on the inside. Courthouse workers should get used to this. If he's arraigned next month in Atlanta, Donald Trump will surely tell the lie that courthouse workers were crying. And he'll say the same thing if Special Federal Prosecutor Jack Smith brings Donald Trump in for arraignment on the documents case and or the January 6th case. If Donald Trump is arraigned four times in courthouses around America, people working in those courthouses will be accused of crying by Donald Trump, and no one will see them cry except Donald Trump. And Tucker Carlson, who hates Donald Trump passionately, will beg Donald Trump to give his first television interview after his latest arraignment to Tucker Carlson every time Donald Trump is arraigned. And Tucker and Donald will sit across from each other each time, each of them filled with hatred, each of them in his own way desperately trying to get the approval of Tucker Carlson's audience. District Attorney Alvin Bragg's lawsuit against Jim Jordan is asking the federal court in Manhattan to block a subpoena from Jim Jordan to Mark Pomerantz, a former special assistant district attorney who participated in Alvin Bragg's investigation of Donald Trump and the Trump businesses. Alvin Bragg's lawsuit tells the federal court Chairman Jordan's demands, including his subpoena to Mr. Pomerantz, seek highly sensitive and confidential local prosecutorial information that belongs to the Office of the District Attorney and the people of New York. Basic principles of federalism and common sense, as well as binding Supreme Court precedent, forbid Congress from demanding it. Congress has no power to supervise state criminal prosecutions, nor does Congress have the power to serve subpoenas for the personal aggrandizement of the investigators or to punish those investigated. Subpoenaing a former line prosecutor to talk about an ongoing criminal prosecution and investigation is an affront to state sovereignty than as much as subpoenaing the district attorney himself. Chairman Jordan claims he is seeking to conduct oversight, but he has no power under the Constitution to oversee state and local criminal matters. By definition, then, he has no legitimate legislative purpose for issuing the subpoena. The subpoena threatens the sovereign powers of the states, confidence in the secrecy of grand jury proceedings, and the integrity of an ongoing criminal prosecution. The court should enjoin its enforcement. The court set a deadline of next Wednesday for Jim Jordan to reply to Alvin Bragg's civil complaint against him. Alvin Bragg's 50-page legal filing against Jim Jordan says that Jim Jordan is, in effect, colluding with criminal defendant Trump to interfere with the prosecution of criminal defendant Trump. Quote, Mr. Trump in particular has threatened New York officials with violent and racist vitriol on social media. He threatened death and destruction and to wage war if he was indicted. Mr. Trump even shared a social media post that appeared to be a picture of himself threateningly wielding a baseball bat to District Attorney Bragg's head. Yesterday, Jim Jordan announced that his House committee would hold a hearing, a field hearing, in a federal building in Manhattan on Monday to evaluate the job Alvin Bragg is doing as District Attorney of Manhattan. Congressman Ken Goldman represents the congressional district where the hearing will be held in the Javits Federal Building close to the criminal courthouse where Donald Trump was arraigned in Lower Manhattan. Congressman Goldman issued a statement saying, instead of focusing on improving the lives of the American people, Jim Jordan has decided to come to my district at the behest of Donald Trump to continue to weaponize Congress to obstruct an ongoing, non-federal criminal prosecution. If Jordan truly cared about public safety, he'd be having a field hearing in Nashville, Tennessee, or Louisville, Kentucky, where the most recent of the daily mass shootings have killed more innocent Americans. Chairman Jordan is not welcome in my district for this political stunt that is simply a further waste of taxpayer money to support Donald Trump's legal defense.
Now remember, Trump is adamant that these stone cold people who work in a prison were crying. They responded.
But he was claiming everyone back there was crying over the injustice being done to him. Poor, poor Trumpy. Okay. This headline has me freaking rolling. Exclusive. Donald Trump mocked by courthouse staff for claim they were actually crying at arrest. So yeah, he said all of that. And let's see what they're saying about him. So here you go. But veteran staffers at the court have rubbished Trump's claim. One told the Mirror the only thing Mr. Trump was truthful on is that, yes, we do see murderers, but all the time we remain professional. No one shed any tears whether they support him or not. We are trained to be courteous and polite, but we don't show emotion like that, particularly over an arraignment. And a little bit more salt on the wound. Another added, I'm sure they were laughing under their breath, not crying. You're probably laughing now that he even said anything so stupid. Trump's claims were made during an interview with Fox anchor Tucker Carlson. Now, we all know that Tucker Carlson has nothing but complete disdain for this guy. Like, he hates him. And I have to feel like there's a part of Tucker that was having a lot of fun watching Trump stumble all over himself and praising himself for what a good guy he is and how everybody's going to be so sad to lose him when you know Tucker's jumping up and down inside that he's never going to have to deal with him again, except for the part that Tucker will have to deal with him again, as well as the entire Fox News company, because they are facing another hearing themselves. So I can't wait to see everybody enjoying the consequences of their actions.
If Trump can do one thing, he can lie. Not well, but he can lie. Now, in additional breaking news, there's a new Florida abortion ban that passed today. DeSantis is expected to sign it, although he spent the day in Ohio. We'll get to that in a moment. This would be a 6-week abortion ban that was fast-tracked by the GOP, the supermajority GOP in Florida. Excuse me. It's called the Heartbeat Protection Act. It was passed 70-40. Some GOP aligned with Democrats to vote against the bill. Protest occurred in the gallery before the vote, and it is speculated that there will be additional protests because it seems like the vast majority of Florida residents widely disagree with this. But you want to know what else was going on in Florida? Take a look.
So this is Ron DeSantis' Florida. So don't worry, Florida. He's going to make sure that women are forced to carry babies that are not viable. And he's going to take away health care from you. And he's going to make housing unaffordable because you can't buy insurance. But that's okay, because that's the Florida that you wanted, right? Right, Republicans? Stop. I know some of you didn't vote for him. But I think what upsets him the most about this is he can't blame Disney or the drag queens on this. This is literally his fault.
Going on offense in the state of Florida. I'm going to get out in front of issues. I'm going to be leading on issues.
Sure. There's additional news regarding Ron DeSantis and his undeclared presidential campaign from this afternoon's broadcast. You can go back and watch that. But coming from Newsweek.com, and once again, please excuse me, allergies are still kicking my behind. Ron DeSantis faces MAGA backlash over Ohio trip as Fort Lauderdale floods. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is getting backlash from Donald Trump supporters over his out-of-state travel amid a severe weather problem back home. Are you starting to catch why Florida has the law that they have? If you are gubernatorial, if you're the governor and you plan on running for another office, you need to relinquish your office because they need people there to do the job. I mean, he sucks at it, but they still need somebody there. On Thursday, DeSantis is set to make an appearance in Ohio for a Republican event, but the visit comes as Fort Lauderdale is dealing with unprecedented flooding that has prompted emergency rescues and forced airport and school closures. Now, you know it's bad when Trump supporters who generally lack morality and ethics have a problem with what she did. Trump supporters used the timing of DeSantis' Ohio trip to criticize the former president's friend-turned-foe for leaving his constituents behind to increase his national profile, which many have speculated will culminate in a 2024 campaign for the White House. Although DeSantis has yet to announce his candidacy for the Republican nomination, polls show he is Trump's most formidable rival. Y'all know that he doesn't care about people, about human beings. But y'all were the same ones clapping when he was taking asylum seekers, lying to them, and using taxpayer funds to do what? Fort Lauderdale, Florida was slammed with mass flooding last night. Floridians lost their cars and many Florida homes were flooded and destroyed by water damage. Far-right activist Lord Loomer tweeted on Thursday, instead of doing his job today, at Gov. Ron DeSantis is flying to Ohio to campaign for president. Loomer, who is based in Florida, is reportedly being considered by Trump for a campaign role. Like I said, the additional information regarding Ron DeSantis and his undeclared presidential candidacy, there's more in the midday episode from today. But y'all, the Dominion case, the Dominion v. Fox case, let's go to the video and then we'll come back to the notes.
This is Rudy Giuliani and Fox News host Maria Bartiromo talking off air on November 8th, 2020. Off air, Mr. Giuliani seems pretty candid about the fact that he really has no evidence that there's anything wrong with the Dominion voting machines.
I'm going to be asking you for as much evidence as you can tell us about these lawsuits. Whatever you can tell us in terms of evidence would be really helpful. Okay, great. Is there anything you want to make sure that I get?
I can tell you exactly what we have.
Perfect. And what about this software, this Dominion software?
That's a little harder
troubling
to tell you. Right, it's being analyzed right now. I mean, there are a couple of races that have been reversed because the Democrat was triple counted, two already in Michigan. Now, whether that applies for the whole state or not, I can't tell you yet.
This Dominion software, does Nancy Pelosi have an interest in it?
I've read that. I can't prove that yet.
Okay.
Can't prove that. That was Rudy Giuliani, the face of the big lie, privately downplaying that he knew anything about Dominion voting machines. And then there is this conversation from December 5th, 2020. This is a call between Maria Bartiromo and Trump campaign officials themselves.
Are any of the machines, I know it was on War Room the other day with Steve Bannon, have any of the machines been looked at? He had said that one was looked at in Georgia.
I'd have to check on that in terms of Georgia. I know during the audit they did check on those machines. They're really, if we can just go off the record for 1 sec here.
Yeah, of course. I don't want us to say it if it's not. That's why we're checking.
I think they have looked at the machines. When the Secretary of State did its audit, there was a fair bit of looking at the machines. The audit came in pretty darn close to what the machine count was with the receipts. So, I don't know the outcome of those, but our understanding, again, this is from the Secretary of State's office, was that there weren't any physical issues with machines on those inspections.
Again, that was on December 5th, 2020. Trump campaign officials saying there weren't any physical issues with Dominion voting machines. There's a fair bit of looking at those machines, Ms. Bartiromo, but all the figures were pretty darn close to what they were supposed to be. The whole voting machines conspiracy, according to the Trump officials, kind of a nothing burger. Or at least that was what they said in private. Because here was Trump on the same day, December 5th, 2020.
In one Michigan county using Dominion voting systems, nearly 6,000 votes were discovered that were wrongly switched from Trump to Biden. They called it a glitch. You know, a glitch, that's like the machine broke. Numerous times we found glitches, and every single time the glitch went 100% to Biden and no percent to Trump. The same systems are used in 30 states. Believe me, this is something we're going to do because we can't allow it to happen. And complete overhaul of our election security systems, because right now, Dominion is a joke, okay? Not a very funny joke. It's a disgrace that in 2020, no state in America even makes any real attempt to verify that those who cast ballots by mail are eligible and lawfully registered voters. The evidence of fraud is overwhelming.
One thing in public, another thing entirely in private. And this is no minor detail. This is the core of the big lie. Here is a taste of how Fox News continued to cover Dominion voting systems after that December 5th phone call.
We're looking into the Dominion voting machines with this new forensic examination. So this is an investigation that has taken a few weeks. It'll take time. But what we have now is such significant and overwhelming evidence that there is voter fraud. There is a lot of irregularities and just complete disregard for the laws in these states.
Now we get to Detroit, and we have a truck that pulled in at 4:30 in the morning with 100,000 votes. And we have a machine, the Dominion machine, that's as filled with holes as Swiss cheese, and was developed to steal elections and being used in the states that are involved. So there's a lot that's going to come out here over the next month or so.
Tens of thousands of ballots were being illegally dropped. The machines are the worst. Dominion, nobody even knows who owns it. These machines are controlling our country. So it was a rigged election. It was really a sham and a shame.
One thing in public, another thing in private.
Now, let's get into some details. Now, just to let you know, the jury selection has commenced for this lawsuit. The trial is taking place in Delaware. This is a $1.6 billion defamation suit. The trial begins on Monday. Y'all know your girl will be glued to court TV. Now, I gave you a witness list the last time we deep dove into this, but this is an updated list because there are a few people that weren't on here before. So we have Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, Janine Pirro, Maria Bartiromo, I hope I pronounced that right, Lou Dobbs, who was let go by Fox. And we discussed this previously. He was a part of the defamation suit that was settled ahead of this Dominion defamation suit. Excuse me. Rupert Murdoch, who is the chairman. Suzanne Scott, who is the CEO of Fox News. Jay Wallace, who is the president of Fox News. Lachlan Murdoch, who is the Fox Corp CEO. Now, the leaked footage that you saw, all these recordings come from former Fox producer Abby Grossberg. She recorded the coverage and is suing Fox for discrimination, and she is expected to testify on the behalf of Dominion. She has additional recordings proving that those involved knew that it was a lie. Now, if you noticed in all of the recordings, they kept saying, well, can you verify this? We don't want to put this on the air, but they put it on the air knowing that it was not verified, knowing that it was a big lie. Because the plan from Fox News CEO Suzanne Scott was profit, profit, profit. And Rupert Murdoch said it wasn't about red, it wasn't about blue, it was about green. So, and the biggest caveat is that Dominion has zero, and I mean zero interest in any type of settlement. They are out for blood. They are out to clear their names, which I do not blame them. Not one iota. Now, another major headline is out there. As always, make sure you check the links in the description of this video. And if you're not already subscribed with notifications turned on to this channel, make sure you do. If you are subscribed, then you already know because I posted information about it. But let's get you up to speed because there has been an arrest in the murder of the founder of Cash App.
Breaking news, authorities arrest a fellow tech executive for the murder of Cash App founder Bobby Lee. The Cash App founder Bobby Lee was found stabbed in San Francisco last week. Authorities say they have now arrested a fellow tech exec of his for the crime. At this time, they have not released the identity of the suspect. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
Now, his identity has since been revealed. Like I said, always check the links listed in the description of the videos. Do not go down a conspiracy theory rabbit hole. As always, wait for all of the information to come out. It has been confirmed that they did know each other. Why this occurred, we still do not know. But also, keep in mind, this is, per officials, still an ongoing investigation. Now, we know, because I keep showing you all the hilarious protest due to Bud Light, Jack Daniels, and others here recently because of inclusivity, because people don't pay attention to anything until they get bored one night. But there's a huge rumor that conservatives are and ultra MAGA Trump-fucks are dispersing all over the internet. So let's bring the truth and let's dispel it right here, right now. Here we go.
The CEO of the beer company Anheuser-Busch resigned. That's what some social media users are claiming after backlash over a Bud Light partnership with trans social media influencer Dylan Mulvaney. Conservative pundits and celebrities have called for a boycott of the company over its partnership with Mulvaney, who was known for documenting her transition on TikTok. Mulvaney partnered with Bud Light to promote a contest that the beer company was holding during March Madness. But the claim that Anheuser-Busch's CEO resigned over record low Bud Light sales is fabricated. A search revealed that the post came from a satirical blog called Dunning-Kruger Times, which says on its About page that everything on its site is fiction. There have been no reports of CEO Brendan Whitworth's resignation, and Anheuser-Busch also told the Associated Press that there is no truth to the rumor. We rate this claim false. Like these fact-checking videos? Donate to our nonprofit newsroom at the link in our bio.
If you don't know what Dunning-Kruger is, Google is free. But it is hilarious. And I have seen so many people trying to have a gotcha moment quoting this or sharing, the article, and they don't get it. Like, they don't, because one, the do your research crowd never does research, number one. Number two, they never go past a headline. Hearst would be so proud of them. He would have made billions off of them. But I digress. Now, another bit of semi-breaking news. We have an update on the investigative reporting on Associate Justice Clarence Thomas. Let's take a look.
Holy shit, everybody. Look at this. About damn time. The Campaign Legal Center is seeking a criminal referral for Clarence Thomas. A formal request was made to the Administrative Office of the U.S. Court's Judicial Conference because Justice Thomas did not disclose receipt of free travel expenses as required by the Ethics in Government Act. There's reasonable cause to believe Justice Thomas willfully violated the Ethics in Government Act. When I tell you that Republicans are the party of Karen, like they are just the party of Karen butting into everybody's business and calling the fucking manager, and Democrats right now are the party of holding motherfuckers accountable. If there was ever a judge that needed to be kicked off the bench or never seated in the first fucking place, it's Clarence damn Thomas.
I've been screaming this since 1990, and then I tried to give y'all a step-by-step way on how to get him impeached and unseated, just like the other ones that... Anywho, I'm not going to keep beating a dead horse, but yes. And it's time to have, a code of ethics for SCOTUS. Maybe, just maybe, I don't know. But let's take a pause for the cause and look at this ad, and I'll be back with you.
our schools are under attack. Woke bureaucrats parachuting in to hijack our children's future. I know my forcing woke ideology into the classroom.
This is the part that gets me.
I'm a she, her. It's immoral.
She said,
I'm
she
Kelly
said,
Craft, and as governor, I'll dismantle the Department of Education
dumb
and start
bitch.
fresh because these are our children, not the government's.
So fucking.
Yes, that is a real ad. That is a real ad from the Commonwealth of Kentucky where I'm at. And all these people saying that they want to dismantle the Department of Education. First of all, I think that certain things regarding education should be nationalized. But these people that are calling for the defunding and the dismantling of the Department of Education are like the most uneducated people. And I'm not saying everybody that's been educated in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, because I have children who have graduated from high school and college here in Kentucky. And mama don't raise no dummies. But there are people that I've spoken to from different counties and different cities in Kentucky that it'll make you go, how has natural selection not taken you out? How? Like, the reality and truth nowadays, I know that art is supposed to imitate life. And I grew up in a time where certain movies, they would blame the movies and the music, like, oh, if you play this backward, like, who the fuck is playing this shit backwards? But anywho, it's corrupting the population. Now, art can't even imitate life. Like, I don't even think SNL can even keep up with this, because people are living real life SNL skits. Like, how do you outdo them making your skits real life? Let's lighten things up a little bit. And my lightener tends to always be Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, remember, Marjorie Taylor Greene's husband divorced her. And we knew that she had cheated before, but we didn't know she was cheating at that moment. Take a look at Miss Family Values, Miss Good Old Southern Christian.
What's up, everyone? Coach D Speaks here. So check this out. There's always been speculation that Marjorie Taylor Greene was having extramarital affairs, and that's why her husband filed for divorce back in September of 2022. But during that time, in November 2022, there was a lot of speculation that she was hooking up with Brian Glenn, who was a reporter for Newsmax. And the Daily Mail did an entire story on this. There were pictures of them, pictures of him putting his suitcases inside of her black SUV. There were pictures of them at some of her campaign rallies hanging out. And they, during this entire time, completely denied it all, because they were both in the midst of divorces, or at the time, Brian Glenn hadn't even filed for divorce yet. So they denied it. And pretty much there was that one article, a little bit of speculation and whatever. Well, recently they went public on Twitter about their new relationship. He posted that he was touring some new golf course that was being built, and he tagged her in it. And then she commented something like, "I love living life with you." And listen, a lot of people say, oh, you can't judge people. I judge people. I do, straight up. And everybody does, but people won't say they do because the Bible says don't judge. But people literally judge all the time. I'm just upfront about it. And typically, I don't really like to judge people on their relationships and stuff, because I realize relationships have problems and people go through things, and hey, you know, that's their business or whatever. But when your entire personality revolves around you being holier than thou. When you literally tweet all the time Christian values and Republicans are the party of family values and, you know, you're quoting scripture and all of that, then I am definitely going to judge you. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Brian Glenn both were filing for divorce around the same time they were being seen kind of out in public, but trying to hide it and literally lying about their relationship. So yeah, I'm judging them. It is crazy to me that you have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Sean Hannity, other people in the Republican Party, Brian Glenn, all of these people who sit around and they judge people all the time and talk about, you know, Democrat families who are sexualizing kids and how, you know, teachers want to talk about sex with students and how they're the party of family values and they're the party of Christian values and all of that. And they're not living those lives at all. And the fact that they thought, you know what? It's probably time that we can now come out and say this, and our stupid followers, they won't even care. They won't even call us out on it. I mean, people are literally commenting, you guys look cute together, and oh, good to see you're in a relationship. They both cheated on their spouses with each other, denied it, left their marriages, and are now fornicating with each other based on the Christian values that they talk about all the time. Wow. Wow.
I told y'all that green tea is a piping hot mess. Excuse me. It is a piping hot mess. Ooh, excuse me. But you know, like I told you, she's Trump in lipstick and heels. I'll say what I say. She can get mad about it. I don't care. She doesn't respond to me anymore on Twitter anyway. But let's bring it on back to the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
The parents of bank shooter Connor Sturgeon are praising the police for taking down their son before he killed more victims. No words can express our sorrow, anguish, and horror at the unthinkable harm our son Connor inflicted, they say in a statement. We are deeply grateful for the bravery and heroism of the Louisville Metropolitan Police Department. They said their son was struggling with mental health. While Connor, like many of his contemporaries, had mental health challenges which we as a family were actively addressing, there were never any warning signs or indications he was capable of this shocking act, including the shooter's mother, Lisa. You can hear the anguish in her voice.
My son might be because he has a gun and he's heading toward the Old National. I'm so sorry. I'm getting details secondhand. Oh, my Lord. I don't know what to do. I need your help. He's never hurt anyone. He's a really good kid. You don't even own guns. I don't know where he would have gotten a gun.
Where did you get this information from? Who told you what's going on?
His roommate called me. I'm shaking. What do I do? Just go there?
No, I don't want you to go to the location, okay? It's dangerous there.
You've had calls from other people, so he's already there.
Number one, if you purchase a house and you ask your good friend to come be your roommate and they leave a letter saying that they're about to go murder people, why would you call their parent? So this is what doesn't, like, why not call the authorities? Number one. Number two, see how the media is depicting this? The family is, no. In all of their statements, they're praying for everyone, including their son, and they want everybody to pray for everyone, including their son. He was such a good boy. Like his peers, he suffered from depression and mental health. Who said that mental health was just assigned to a certain generation? And can we get to who he left the voicemail for and why that person didn't call 911? Where all of this could have been avoided? Even if when you're waking up to get ready to go to work and you see call 911. He's never hurt anybody. We don't have guns. Where would he get a gun from? He's over 18, ma'am. Hell, here in Kentucky, you can go to a damn pawn shop and get a gun. You can walk in with somebody else and it's obvious that that person is buying the gun for you and they don't even ask for your identification. I've watched it happen. Let me stop. Because every time I get on my soapbox, somebody tries to hit me with a copyright violation for my own damn voice. But y'all don't want to believe me regarding how the media plays things? Y'all know I come with the receipts. Take a look.
I'm going to show you two sets of pictures, and I want to see if you can tell me the difference. Here's how the media describes white men who are mass murderers and rapists. In Louisville, he's described as a star athlete. Brock Turner, the white man who raped an unconscious woman, is described as an all-American swimmer. The white teen who shot up his school and committed mass murder is described as an average kid. Now let's see how media describes Black unarmed people. Trayvon Martin, the innocent unarmed teen who was killed in cold blood by a vigilante, is demonized for having marijuana in his system. Michael Brown, the Black unarmed teen, is demonized as no angel and having problems. Breonna Taylor, the Black unarmed woman killed in her own home, is demonized because allegedly someone she knew at some point may have been involved with drugs. And this is not just your imagination. Media, sadly and systemically, demonizes Black and brown communities and sanitizes the harm done by white supremacists. Media plays a critical role, and we have a free press to hold power accountable. When media sanitizes white supremacists and mass murderers, but demonizes unarmed Black people, it's a failure and abdication of its duty, and we need to call it out.
I told y'all pay attention. And this is also part of the reason why I started the series that I have on TikTok called the Anti-Racism Journey. This is why. And if you're not caught up, don't forget today is Thursday. So today is journal day. Skedaddle on over there. Link is in my link tree, which is in the bio. But before we move on with more updates in politics, we haven't talked about COVID-19 in a while, but I do need to bring you all this very important update, especially in lieu of all the abortion bans going on and the fact that the UN is now wanting to step in and being urged to step in. This is coming from health.harvard.edu. Does COVID-19 damage the brain? Ask the doctor. Question: how does COVID-19 damage the brain, and can the damage be permanent? Answer: when the pandemic started in early 2020, doctors didn't know much yet about COVID and did not think it affected the brain. Boy, were we wrong. We now know that, unfortunately, COVID can damage the brain in many ways. When people first became sick from the virus, they may develop encephalitis, inflammation of the brain, causing confusion, difficulty concentrating, and memory problems. COVID also can trigger the onset of new psychological disorders such as severe depression or anxiety. It can even cause people to become psychotic, to see and hear things that aren't there, and to believe things that aren't true. It often damages the brain's autonomic nervous system, leading to abnormalities in heart rate and blood pressure. In addition, the virus that causes COVID can infect and injure the linings of blood vessels and make blood clots more easy. These two things can lead to strokes and heart attacks, even in young people. A perfectly healthy 30-year-old son of a friend of mine experienced multiple strokes when he got COVID. COVID-related strokes can cause permanent difficulty in speaking or understanding speech, weakness on one side of the body, and other symptoms. Even if people escape brain damage during the initial attack of COVID-19, they remain at considerably greater risk of various brain conditions, including strokes, depression, anxiety, and psychosis for the next several years. Now, as far as the memory loss, there is a family member that's very close to me that has long COVID, and they are having issues with their memory. So, yeah. Be careful, be wise, and make sure you keep up to date with all things COVID. Now, remember, I brought to you a semi-breaking story regarding a racist coach. I got to put the warning up there. And this is one of those, unfortunately, wait. There's more.
Room service. I need y'all niggas to bring me some chicken wings. He probably do it, and he probably going to throw out we on the 14th floor. He probably throw out the window when he done with it.
How you doing, coach? Oh, you think I'm done with you? Oh, no, there's a lot fucking more.
Every restaurant looking in here is black. Every car beside them is black. They can have it now. It used to be a fun place to come to up here. You see that tree right there? Roll will hang you from that tree.
Okay, so you love Georgia, but you hate Atlanta because there's too many black people. How do you think that makes your mixed grandchild feel? That you literally use as a bookmark in a picture for your Bible.
This is the dog right here now. Huh? Yeah, it's the dog. Yeah, he took the monkey off her back. We couldn't win it for that thing. And he got 2 of them. And everything. Great job, man.
Now, when you say monkey, what do you mean?
That big old dude come right here. Huh? Look at How you doing? What you doing, big dog? Look at the big old self. He gets bigger and bigger every time I see you. I know you don't remember. Look at that big. Good.
And of course, you love to post Bible quotes. Let's see what it says. It says, the Lord plans to prosper you and not harm you. But what were you saying about that tree?
See that tree right there? Roll will hang.
And here's another one. We are living in times where we're reaping what we sow. It's coming faster than ever. Be mindful of how you treat people. So when you were talking about hanging black people on trees or calling them the N-word, how do you think that was treating black people? Because I think you're about to reap what you sow. And I'm sure your organization wouldn't like you speaking of your players like that. But of course you have black friends, or are they just one of the good ones? The classic, I'm not racist because I have black friends and black people in your family. So you can't be racist.
What you doing, big dog? Look at the big old self.
But I'm just a good old Southern gentleman who will smile in your face and then be racist behind your fucking back. Because you never want to be in a room full of white people the moment the black person leaves.
Gonna be a great day today. Good day for Speed Edge Sports, and super proud of my guys that have put the work in over the years that I've had them. Had some of them since they were 8th graders, and today's their big day. Today's the day what we work for. Signing day, so I'm riding.
Signing day. The day you trying to sell people that you've been training for so long. Since they were 8 years old.
Hey, Tom, come on, big Corey. 6'4", 365.
So it was never crazy for Colin Kaepernick to compare the slave trade to the NFL tactics. Or even, in your case, college. Especially how you see them with 220 kids. You know, with the tree and all. And of course you love Ron DeSantis because, of course, he's removing black history. So while you train these players to get signed, so you can make all your money to eat Mexican food in your big house and work on the sideline, maybe you should let them know how you really feel. Because this is what racism looks like. My name's Eric Stone. Doses. Okay, so I have an update on this racist ass coach. This is not a current picture of this child. This is 1 year later. You know how I know? The mother reached out to me and my team and informed us that this child is not even his grandchild. In fact, this man posted that he spent Easter with this child, and yet he did not. And to make sure we get everything right, she sent my team an entire list of everything he lied about. So Mark, I hope it was worth it because you'll never be able to see that child ever again. And this ain't come from me. This has come directly from the mother. So everybody, please share this message because the truth must be told. My name is Eric Stone.
A Middle Georgia coach is under fire after multiple videos of him using racist language surfaced on social media. Our Brianna Cook has been investigating this story all day after many of you contacted WGXA News with concerns. Brianna.
Amanda, the videos are disturbing, and tonight I have reaction from one father whose son trained with him.
The videos depict Mark Taylor claiming that while in Atlanta for a conference, he hadn't seen a white person in sight. He went on to say Atlanta used to be a fun place and that they can have it, and encouraging his friends to come up and go hunting. He uses the N-word and draws attention to a tree where he says a young black woman could be hung. We can't show the videos because the original copies have not been provided to us. Taylor owns and operates Speed Edge Sports, a training camp that has been operating out of a space rented from a local Christian school. Taylor trained up-and-coming athletes, many of which were African American. Curtis Harris has a son who trained with Taylor. He says he stopped training with Taylor due to previous red flags.
You know, kind of got these tendencies. But to me, I would have never thought what I saw in the videos, because of the fact is, I know you always talking about what you do for black kids. Like, hey, I got this kid, I got these many kids come stay with my house, I got this kid use my toothbrushes, I got this kid that come stay with me, I done put this kid here, I took this kid here in this place for free and all this. My thing is, if you gotta start telling what you're doing for other people, you ain't doing it for the right reasons.
Harris says when he and his son saw the videos, they were angry and disappointed.
My son trained with this guy, he worked with this guy, like he entrusted this guy to take him and to speak for him in front of these coaches and everything like that. And now you come out with this. So this was always in you. Like, this ain't new.
The video has since gone viral, causing outrage among Facebook users, with comments ranging from, "Shame on you. We don't support racism, and he hates us, but will use us for the money. Typical." Taylor rented out space from Central Fellowship Christian Academy in Macon. School leaders have issued a statement saying, "We are shocked by the recent video from Mark Taylor that have circulated on social media. We give no room for racism. That relationship has ended effective immediately." WGXA News has confirmed Taylor was previously banished from Houston County after being put on probation for stalking a teacher in 2007. He later requested his banishment be removed from his sentence. A judge granted that request. WGXA News has also confirmed Taylor was a former teacher at Northside Middle School and Warner Robins High School, where he coached track and field. Houston County Board of Education has confirmed Taylor was employed from 1992 to 2007. I did try to reach out to Taylor, but his number has since been disconnected.
Taylor claimed he had relationships with many colleges like UGA, Alabama, and Auburn. Alabama responded earlier today saying they have no relationship with him at all. We've yet to hear back from UGA or Auburn. Reporting live in studio, Brianna Cook, WGXA News.
Notice the schools that he mentioned. Notice how he was trying to tokenize a black child that he's not even related to. Notice how he was even telling his players what he does for the black community. Thomas Jefferson thought he did a lot for the black community. George Washington thought he did a lot for the black community. Lyndon B. Johnson thought he did a lot for the black community. Catch what I'm putting down? Catch what I'm putting down. Now we have yet another conservative Republican screaming the "for a few decades" quiet part out loud again. Y'all, get your favorite beverage and be prepared to clutch your invisible pearls.
Well, if it means erasing a community because you have to target children, then damn right we ought to do it. I just don't think you have to inherently say because you're lesbian or gay that you want to target children. I find that statement to be offensive to them. You vote for this bill, you're not standing up with the Proud Boys. You're standing up with people who believe this stuff should be kept away from children.
Did you catch the contradiction? It's okay to target children if you want to erase a demographic. But the demographic that's not targeting children could care less about children being around them. They're the problem. It's okay to target children as long as you can target those children to indoctrinate them to commit genocide and believe in eugenics. Whoops, sorry. But it's not okay to respect children, educate children, protect children. Let's travel on down to Nebraska real quick.
Well, guys, on today's episode of You Won't Believe This Shit, This is Nebraska Senator Steve Erdman.
We have killed 2,000 babies since abortion became legal. Those are 2,000 people in the state of Nebraska.
Well, I think that
Okay, I do not know what's going on right now. My apologies, you guys. I don't know what's going on.
Forgive me if my comments do not come across as Christ-like. I think now, more than ever, everyone should recognize that Democrats are not our friends. I listened for the last 3 days to Democrats, Sam McKenzie, Chisholm, Parkinson, trash us as racists. I've never had anybody call me a racist. And for the last 3 days, all I have heard from them is how this is the most racist place. One of these white supremacists. Good Lord, we have to realize they are not our friends. They can smile, man, that doesn't mean I can't be polite to them, but they are not our friends. They destroy the republic and the foundation of who we are, or we preserve it. That is the reality where we are right now. And if these last 3 days have not proven that, we need to find a new job. There's never been a more important time for us to be unified. There's 75 of us. Let them call their name, of the names they're going to call. And we need to move forward. We need to pass the gun bill. We need to pass the pronoun bill, wherever Mark is. Man, we do not slow down because of their crap. We can't. The only way we move forward with some sort of unity is to call out what happened on the House floor the other night. I feel like we were hung out to dry by a couple of members. And Jody, I'm just going to say it here because you signed the letter. You straight up came to me and said you were 100% where I was. And you went on the House floor and you did the opposite. Man, you hung us out to dry. And I like you personally. This is not personal. And if Brian Terry was here, I'd say the same thing to him. This would have been bad anyway, but good God, we brought the racism into it because you didn't stay with us. But I need to know, and I don't want to hear why there wasn't a preponderance of evidence and an attorney. I need to know why you flipped your vote at the last minute. You didn't let them know beforehand. Giving Johnny a 15-minute heads up doesn't cut it. And if Brian Terry was here, I want to hear from him too. I have to know.
If we kick the staff out, this is the place to say. I haven't lied to anybody, not one time. And it pisses me off to suggest that I have. And some of my friends in here suggested that I lied. And that's bullcrap. I walked into that room to vote to expel all 3 of them, just like all y'all. And the letter that I sent to the speaker, it says exactly what it says. Throw the book at it. Everything you've got. It doesn't say expulsion. It's not in there. But doesn't matter. I was ready. But I was ready. I was walking into that room ready to vote before we ever started on Jones. I got a list of questions from Johnny Garrett. Johnny says, you're on the list that the speaker has to ask questions. Sat there through Jones, made notes. I went to Johnny and said, Johnny, can I go off script? Johnny says, yeah, go for it. Speaker never called him. We voted. I hit the green vote because that's what I'm there for. Then we get into the floor again. And immediately, the questions start coming up about the resolution. I know what she did. I know what she did, broke the rules. And I know that she deserves to be expelled. We got to do it right. And that wasn't right. While this is going on, Leader came to my desk. He said, hey, you think we're doing good? I said, no. We haven't established the case. Gino's had 2 cracks at her, and the only thing he's established is that she stood at the well. That's it. It didn't fix any of the problems with the resolution. He didn't establish that she'd been here 10 years or 12 years and knew the book better than the other 2. Why were we still in session? Because we're in between bills. Why did you get gavelled out of order? Because the speaker had to get order. It was disorderly conduct and caused chaos in this whole place. That line of questioning is exactly what I told the leader I needed to ask, because we don't have it right now. He didn't sit there and say, you need to vote yes anyway. He didn't whip my vote. He walked off. He didn't go to the speaker and tell the speaker to call on him. So if you're all going to come all at me and single me out, and only 3 of y'all call me this weekend to check on me, I'm going to defend myself. I told leadership what was going on. I told them I had problems. I had questions. I had a plan to fix it. When the question got called, I went to Johnny. I said, John, do we have the votes? He said, well, nobody else changes their vote. We should be fine. Why are you not going to vote yes? And I explained it. And I went back to my desk. And I sat there and had my internal debate on what to do. Then the bell rings. I'm concerned that I'm going to vote yes on a resolution that I know is wrong. We didn't establish that she did all that other stuff. All we established is she walked in there. As much as I hate to get John Ray any credit or anything, the smartest thing he said the whole season I've been up here. Darren Jernigan in the back of the room says, we can't vote on a resolution that's poorly drafted. And he's right. Ignore that we were screwing it up and put my name on something that I knew that was going to be in the annals of history as being wrong. No different than some Democrat is going to be on a jury for Donald Trump and vote to convict him even though they know it's vote is document. This resolution's got copied and pasted. All they changed was their names. She didn't do the things that were in the resolution.
I said, oh great, Mr. Speaker, have you on the list? You said, yes. Then I walked away your desk, never dreaming that you were going to know. I just thought you had some other questions that were going to build the case. And I didn't mean to walk off without getting additional information. I didn't take it that you were throwing oxygen at that time, but I knew you had some questions. I mean, to sign a letter and then for the other 65 of us to all think it's the right thing, I get that you feel strong enough. I mean, at this point, do you feel strong that you did the right thing, or is there any party that feels bad about that the rest of us got hung out to dry?
1,000% I did the right thing. I went back and watched it again. I watched the video. Bottom line is you went into that chamber, we had a slim vote count. You went into that chamber, you were a yes. And you straight up asked me, are you 100% where I am? And I said, I'm all three expelling no matter what. You said it was in the same spot. It hung us out to dry. One vote. And if Terry was here, I'd do the same thing to him.
We had the jury already. This obviously wasn't a trial, but I knew every single one of your vote counts. I knew that we did not have to convince you all. When you came up to me about 2 minutes left of Gloria's final closing and said we didn't do it, I was shocked. In my humble opinion, her, by moving from her desk to the well without decision, without being recognized, was enough for me to figure out how I was going to get off expulsion. So I was taken back. I was also taken back that you wanted to ask me questions because that would have made a difference. It's going to take some time for all of us to digest your reasoning to Pearson. I wanted to tell him protesting from the middle of the well is a one-way conversation. No legislation in the history of the world has ever been passed under protest. It's always a two-way conversation. And that's been lost. And they reduced each and every one of us, including each and every one of our constituents, to sometimes a simple protest. And so that to me was paramount of what all three of them did by virtue of that simple walk from Gloria's desk to the middle of the well without that permission, really regardless of what the resolutions did say. I think we do understand how important we all are when a hot vote is not like it was and then you change. Surprise is one, it's a difficult thing to deal with. There's gonna have to be, I think, some time before there's probably some trust reestablished. If I would have known that I had to convince you all, I think Gino, I think Farmer, I think others that we thought about that process would have been handled a whole lot differently. That's where the element of surprise has got to be removed. Because that surprised me. That all of a sudden we had to convince the members after we had asked them so much of what they were on this.
I've taken positions up here against leadership. If you believe Gloria's resolution was wrong, you have the right to file an amendment and go talk to leadership. I think the problem I'm having is if we don't stick together, if you don't believe we're at war for our republic, with all love and respect to you, you need a different job. The left wants Tennessee so bad because if they get us, the Southeast falls, and it's game over for the republic. This is not a neighborhood social gathering. We are fighting for the republic of our country right now. And the world is staring at us. Are we going to stand our ground? I've gotten multiple phone calls from other representatives going, we sure hope you guys stand up. Because maybe you'll give us the courage to stand up and push back against what's going to destroy our republic. You should have told leadership ahead of time if you had a doubt. By God, when you change your mind, you should have been screaming in the speaker's ear going, I'm a no-vote, sir. How does that affect your vote? If Brian Terry was standing here, I would be telling Brian Terry, you should have went to the speaker and said, I'm changing my vote. And if it put us at 65, somebody would have taken you behind the dais and explained to you why this is an important vote. It would have given us the opportunity to not throw the rest of us under the bus. I've been called a racist, a misogynist, a white supremacist more in the last 2 months of my life than I had my entire life. By golly, I'm biting my tongue. But I'm telling you, Mr. Speaker, with all due respect, these days are wearing thin right now. And I'm going to have to swallow this to see Mr. Jones back up here walking these hallowed halls that the greats of Tennessee stood in and watched them disrespect this state that I chose to move to. And by golly, it's got to stop. I'm sorry for getting angry here. My father was D-Day +4. And he fought for this freaking country, and many of his friends died. You gotta do what's right. Even if you think it might be wrong, you gotta do what's right. And you gotta protect this freaking republic here in Tennessee, or you know what? Let's all go to hell home. I'm getting freaking gray hair sitting here listening to this bullshit. I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm getting sick of this. Do the right thing for the people of Tennessee, and we'll come out smelling like a rose. Fight for the people of Tennessee.
Now you see firsthand when you see people of color who are passe blanche, meaning they can pass as white to white people, because white people don't really pay attention to phenotypes or hair texture. They just pay attention to complexion. Or white people who say that certain folk get real comfortable around them and just let it fly. That's the first example you get. The second one is when we say that racists are more offended by being called racist than actually being racist. Dun, dun, dun. Because did you hear how many times and how many people were offended that they were being called racist and misogynistic, which this is what they displayed. And as we have gone through this whole thing together on this podcast in detail, this is what they've been doing. This is who they are. This isn't like being added to a reality TV show and they edit you to look a certain way. No. But if you are more upset about being called something than actually being it, let me just say once again, make sure you check out the description, the links in the description of this video. Now, before we discuss Jim Jordan again, question. Now, since I first learned about the existence of the Electoral College, I felt that it was outdated and needed to be eliminated. What are your thoughts on it? And while you mull that over, take a look and listen.
I think that the Electoral College now, which has given us 5 popular vote losers as president in our history, twice in this century alone, has become a danger, not just to democracy, but to the American people. It was a danger on January 6th. There's so many curving byways and nooks and crannies in the Electoral College that there are opportunities for a lot of strategic mischief. We should elect the president the way we elect governors, senators, mayors, representatives, everybody else. Whoever gets the most votes wins.
Because let's face it, every level of politics, from the most local to the most national, it's nothing but a popularity contest. That's why they campaign the way that they do. When Trump was originally elected, he didn't have the popular vote. He had the Electoral College votes. And I'm sorry, I don't like myself and my constituents deciding, hey, we rock with this person. This person seems to be the best choice that we have out here for our survival, for our livelihood, for us to be comfortable. And a group of people for our state or commonwealth goes, are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? We think this person is better. No, if the people don't vote for you, nobody else should toss their vote in for you. There is no need, in my humble opinion, for the Electoral College to continue to exist. We have a greater population than we did when the Electoral College was instated. I understand the need for it then, but there should have been limits on it. I mean, especially since at that time they believed in child brides and breeding kinks. But let's round out talking about Jim Jordan. And keep in mind, tomorrow Joining me on the show is a wonderful entrepreneur and writer. So make sure you tune in and bring a friend. But let's talk about Jim Jordan.
Well, folks, Jim Jordan is apparently not done trying to take down Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. And Jordan, through his Judiciary Committee, has announced that on April 17th, he is going to take some of his lawmakers on a little field trip to New York City. And during their little field trip, they're going to hold what's called a field hearing on the rampant crime rate in New York City, trying to, of course, highlight the fact that, hey, we've got people out here stealing Tylenol from Rite Aid, but you're choosing to go after Donald Trump instead. That's the whole point of it. So Alvin Bragg's office, an aide for Alvin Bragg, released a statement smacking down Jim Jordan and letting him know that if you want to talk about rising crime rates, you don't have to spend taxpayer dollars to come to New York. You can literally go home where the murder rate is 3 times higher than it is in Manhattan. Uh-oh, Jim. Looks like you didn't do your homework. You didn't look at the statistics of your own backyard where the murder rate is 15.2 versus 5.0 for New York City. Yeah, so where you live, where you're from, where you represent, you're 3 times more likely to be murdered than in the city of New York, where Alvin Bragg is the district attorney. Now, this is something, by the way, that I have been pointing out very frequently, both here and over at Ring of Fire, because it turns out that, sure, the crime rate in the city of New York has increased. The crime rate overall for property crime, vandalism, burglaries, things like that. Bad crimes, don't get me wrong. You shouldn't do those things. But the murder rate has gone down. Now, as I mentioned, in Columbus, Ohio, the murder rate, it's 15.4 murders per 100,000 citizens. So it's a little higher than what I said. I'm sorry. It's even worse. Come down here to the state of Florida, our property crime has decreased. But our governor, Ron DeSantis, was recently, of course, attacking Alvin Bragg for the crime rate in New York City. But what Ron DeSantis didn't mention is that the murder rate here in Florida and the violent crime rate has skyrocketed well above what we see in Manhattan. So sure, you might be more likely to get robbed in Manhattan, but you're more likely to get murdered here in the state of Florida. You're more likely to get murdered in Jim Jordan's district than you are in Manhattan. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be the victim of any crime. But if I had to pick between, getting mugged or getting shot in the face, I'm going to go with get mugged every time. Because, one, I never carry cash on me. By the time they could use my debit card, I would have already called my bank and, had that canceled. So really, it's just a minor inconvenience for me. However, getting shot in the face and dying, that's probably going to be a big hindrance on my family. So I'm going to go with getting mugged over getting shot. But that's what Republicans don't want to tell you. They want to hammer, oh my God, the crime is out of control in California, New York, these blue states, it's so terrible. But then when you actually look at the statistics, which apparently nobody freaking does, you realize that the highest crime rates in this country are actually taking place in red districts and red states. Stats don't lie. Crime numbers don't lie. And while all of these Republicans are trying to distract you like, oh, look at Alvin Bragg, look at all the crime he's not prosecuting. Sure, maybe the DA's office is a little bit busy and they don't want to prosecute petty theft. They don't want to prosecute shoplifting. They don't want to spend the resources to go out and find somebody who mugged somebody for $20. They would rather take on the big white-collar criminals, which is something that, honestly, they should be doing more of, well beyond Donald Trump. But if you want to look at the places where you're more likely to be killed, all you got to do is follow a Republican back to their district, and you'll see what rampant crime actually looks like.
Once again, the superpower of the conservative GOP is projection. Because they would love for you to believe that liberals, leftists, and Democrats don't have jobs. But who's always at a rally? Who has time to do these Trump trains all over expressways and highways? Who's always at the drop of the dime at Mar-a-Lago to stand outside because they can't even get in the club? The red states require more tax dollars, more socialist programs, SNAP, Medicare, Medicaid, etc., etc. But I said it last night, I'm going to say it again. Jim Jordan, you were the pot that's so vigorously trying to call the kettle black. Does Trump have the concrete evidence that would put you in jail for what occurred at Ohio State University? I would say one would never know, but we know Trump. When it starts getting hot in here, he starts tossing people under the buses quicker than one can inhale. But as always, thank you for joining me here for Think About It Thursdays on Conversation with Taz. And as always, each one teach one, each one reach one. But I always got to leave y'all with one little nugget. Till tomorrow.
So it's being reported by The Independent that the Duchess of York's Fergie will not be invited to the coronation. Now this does come as a surprise because she still does live with Andrew for some weird reason. So of course she's very close to the royal family. And her two daughters are always very present at family events, so this is a surprise. She had been talking in some television programs when she was promoting her book that she had not received the invitation, but I kind of assumed that she will because she's always around them. She's in every wedding and all events. Now I don't know if this is part of Charles's downsized coronation plan, but it's a little bit ridiculous. This is the mother of two princesses of Britain, so why wouldn't she be invited? Could it be that Charles hasn't forgotten her toe-licking days? But come on, Charles, you were caught doing way worse things than her. So maybe now that Meghan's not going, maybe she'll get an invitation slipped under her door. Who knows?